I think the idea of Pollen is that we want to give people access to a bigger and more meaningful life. If you think about sort of today's generation, we target predominantly the lower end of millennials and Gen Z, so sort of 18 to 30 is our predominant market. And so what Pollen's trying to do is just give access to, one way of thinking about it is affordable luxury. How can you give a thing that feels like a luxury experience that is going to be one of your 3 of your 5 best memories over the last 10 years? And we spent the pandemic scaling the business significantly, grew 2.5x year on year during COVID, which for a travel company is pretty amazing. And on that journey, we also started to ramp up on things like data, which is how we found Datatonic.
Business intelligence is, of course, informing your business to facilitate better decision making. So that's really what we're trying to do here. There's always an opportunity to improve your business decision making through data, and that is effectively BI transformation. If you get it right, you'll find every corner of your organization starts to outperform because it's making better decisions. Whereas if you get it wrong, you can kind of become worse off when you set out.
Yeah, so BI transformation can go wrong, first of all, when it's built without the end user in mind. So if you're an end user and you're trying to make the most of a BI platform that someone's developed for you, and you're either getting a bad experience for a really long load time, you've not got the data that you need because there's not been a good understanding of the use cases that you've given to them, chances are you're going to start trying to export the data yourself. And as Richard said before, you might get data in Google Sheets, you might get it going out via an API. And whatnot. So what your business actually gets at the time is different versions of the same truth.
We were using Looker PDTs for the most part to do the bulk of our modeling requirement. And then that was being pushed into Looker Data Viz or API calls in order to then service the business. So it's kind of a traditional model. We're moving now and pretty much almost complete really in terms of where we are with our implementation of going with much more of off the shelf. So we're using ELT tools, we're using Stitch, Fivetran. We're doing some stuff with custom Python, running Airflow to get data in. That's being ingested into our Snowflake platform. We're using DBT to then run transformations against that raw data, pushing it out into much more structured DIM fact models. And then again, we're then consuming that from that Snowflake reporting layer into Looker, and ultimately potentially into other data viz tools as well in the future.
I guess prior to all the stuff kicking off, we have a monthly leadership team sort of AMA type model at Pollen where the business can just ask us whatever random stuff is on their mind that month. And traditionally, I would get a question about the state of data, what was going on with data, and when we were going to sort out data and blah, blah, blah for about 9 months straight. However, these questions have mostly dried up now.